Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 most controversial horror movies ever.
I think it's crazy.
What's crazy?
All that blood and violence. I thought you were supposed to be the love generation.
For this list, we'll be ranking the most infamous horror movies of all time, based upon the blowback and impact they had during their heyday and beyond. Have you seen any of these? Did we leave any out? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, Rosemary's Baby.
What have you done to him, you maniac?
Satan is his father, not Guy. He came up from hell and begat a son of mortal woman. Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Satan is his father.
The devil was definitely in the details following the release of Rosemary's Baby back in 1968.
You witches! You're lying! You're lying!
The film kicked off what was to become a boom of satanically inspired cinema throughout the 1970s, with films like The Exorcist, The Devil's Reign, and The Omen being just a few evil examples. Religious groups were naturally concerned with the gradual emergence of Old Scratch as the decade's freshest and sexiest rock star, while Rosemary's Baby doubled down on its occult elements by including a scene where Rosemary is, in no uncertain terms, assaulted by a physical manifestation, the devil in the flesh. And to be honest, the scene still packs a punch today.
This is no dream. This is really happening.
Number 9, The Last House on the Left.
You guys let us the hell out of here. I'm gonna start screaming.
The term video nasties refers to the dozens of films that have been classified by the British Board of Film Classification to be morally bankrupt or obscene, with film edits, VHS tape seizures, and even prosecutions to those caught selling these killer movies. The infamous rental favourite, I Spit on Your Grave, is one such nasty, along with our next pick, Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left.
I can make love to a looker like you with my hands tied behind my back.
The film was originally intended to be XXX fare, right down to its casting of adult film actor Fred Lincoln. The idea was dropped, but The Last House on the Left's combination of sex and violence remained profoundly disturbing, thanks to its creepy soundtrack, nihilistic tone, and the performance of David Hess as gang leader, Krug.
Piss your pants.
Piss your pants.
I said piss your pants.
Number 8, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Are there any sacred cows when it comes to the subject of horror film? Well, there was, at least according to many 80s parents, and that person's name was Santa.
Santa Claus!
Yep, there were protests aplenty back when the first Silent Night, Deadly Night film was released back in 1984. Families would turn up in droves and picket cinemas screening this holiday slasher flick, eventually making such a fuss that ads promoting the film were removed from primetime slots on television. Eventually, Silent Night, Deadly Night even got the axe from theatres, but it was us horror fans that ultimately got the last laugh, since the film has gone on to become a cult classic.
There is no Santa Claus.
Naughty.
Number 7, The Texas Chain Saw Massacre. It's truly impressive how the original Texas Chain Saw Massacre has remained such an integral part of the horror zeitgeist so many years later, to the point that sequels and reboots are still being produced every few years. The controversial stories behind Tobe Hooper's original masterpiece are many, from the Columbo crime family that produced the film under the Bryanston Pictures banner to how many viewers were utterly convinced that the Texas Chain Saw Massacre was a true story.
The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths, in particular Sally Hardesty and her invalid brother Franklin.
The film actually isn't bloody at all, but that matters little when the atmosphere of dread, death, and sickness seems so palpable with every inch of the celluloid that graces the screen. Truly, TCM was the one that went all the way. Number 6, Faces of Death.
The beginning of a journey that would take me around the world in search of an understanding of death. My friends thought me compulsive and insane, while others said I was a distorted fanatic. You will be witness to what I have discovered.
If you were a horror-loving kid in the 1980s, then it's highly likely that you rented and sat through Faces of Death. It was something like a badge of honor, an endurance test to sit through all of these gross sequences of what was being advertised as real-life examples of death at its most raw and uncut.
During the final preparations, those of us watching this man could feel the fear being transmitted from his body. Even though he had committed an inexcusable crime, I began to wonder if two wrongs really make a right.
Today, it's largely known that about half of Faces of Death was staged, hilariously so, in fact, with scenes taken from sources like local news serving as examples of the truly rough stuff. Still, Faces of Death remained extremely controversial to this end, prosecuted as a video nasty in the UK and suffering edits around the world due to its graphic content.
The end of the beginning or the beginning of the end? I'll leave that decision to you.
Number 5. Freaks.
Freak! Freak! Get out of here!
Todd Browning's Freaks was massively ahead of its time. In fact, it's difficult to believe that anybody in 1932 was ready for the sort of disturbing content that Browning would bring to the screen with this film.
Are you laughing at me?
Why, no, monsieur.
Thanks, I'm glad.
Why should I laugh at you?
Most big people do. They don't realize I'm a man with the same feelings they have.
The director cast real carnival performers and shot scenes that were ultimately cut by MGM and lost forever, including a castration. A complaint was even reportedly brought to the studio's attention by a woman who claimed that a screening of the original, uncut Freaks caused her to lose a pregnancy.
Shame! Shame! How many times have I told you not to be frightened? Have I not told you? God, look after all his children.
Horror cinema has certainly come a long way since the 30s, but we still stand by Freaks as one of the Golden Age's most enduring cult classics. Number 4. Night of the Living Dead.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny!
It's unclear whether George A. Romero knew he was going to change the game back in 1968 when he released the original Night of the Living Dead. What we do know is that horror movies were never the same afterwards, and that we're eternally grateful. That said, far be it from viewers of the time to recognise this sea change, as the absence of a motion picture association allowed many youngsters to see it, prompting a wave of controversy. An article in Variety even went so far as to say the film cast serious aspersions on the integrity and social responsibility of its makers, which is humorous in retrospect, seeing as Night of the Living Dead kicked off Romero's profound connection with high-minded social commentary.
Now, you get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
Number 3. A Serbian film.
Još uvek si umetnik, budal. Samo imaš blokadu. A ja sam tvoj anđel čuvar.
We're not sure what's more shocking, the fact that a film managed to almost universally stun the cinema world during the relatively modern 2010s, or the actual content present within Srđan Sporsojević's A Serbian film.
Pravi ljudi, prave situacije, pravi seks. Minimum montaže.
Everyone seemed to have something to say about Sporsojević's movie, from those who attempted to paint it as social commentary to those who condemned it as an exploitation taken beyond the pale to disgusting and irredeemable extremes. The argument even continues today, to the point where we can't even really discuss much of what goes on within a Serbian film without wanting to either take a shower or wash our collective mouths out with Number 2, The Exorcist.
I think we've got a guest.
You're gonna die up there.
We love horror movies, and we love being scared, but we just don't think any modern film could cause us to have the sorts of reactions moviegoers had to the original Exorcist back in 1973.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
We've already mentioned how the 70s were a golden age for occult-themed horror films, but The Exorcist doubled down by including subliminal messaging as well. It all works, but it also works in a serious way, without any sort of irony or winking at the camera. It's this tone, combined with all of the physical and psychological damage that befalls young Linda Blair as Regan McNeil, that keeps The Exorcist alive as a controversial horror classic.
Mother, please! What's happening? Stop! It's burning! It's burning!
Do something, doctor, please help her! Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Cannibal Holocaust. What do you do when your movie is so realistic that people actually think you've murdered your actors for the sake of art? Well, if you're Cannibal Holocaust director Ruggero Deodato, you get taken to court and have to produce those actors in person in order to clear your name.
All right. All I want to know, Mr. Chaco, is do we have a chance of finding them alive? Who's to say?
This isn't the only controversy behind Cannibal Holocaust's bloody history either, as this Italian cannibal classic continues to be called out today for its gratuitous and exploitative violence against animals. A coati and a turtle are probably the most infamous examples of this behaviour that was unfortunately commonplace throughout many of the country's exported cannibal films, such as Umberto Lenzi's equally infamous Make Them Die Slowly, aka Cannibal Ferox. It's honestly hard to watch.
Alan, you can't! You can't!
Well, he's had it anyway!
He's still alive, you bastard!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.